Hello everyone, I'm Dashan Farad. Welcome to Right and Exact. Today we have with us scholar, activist, theologian, current Harvard University professor, as they would say, a man who needs no introduction. We have with us Dr. Cornel West. Recently, Dr. West had wrote an article for The Guardian titled "TaNehisi Quotes as the Neoliberal Face of the Black Freedom Struggle." For quite some time, Dr. West has raised some critiques concerning Dr. Coates' philosophies, his views regarding race, liberalism, regarding the liberation of the black community. In this article, I must say, is already causing controversy. Actually, the first Dr. West, I'm sure, knows that the first hour that it got posted by The Guardian on Sunday, it began to raise eyebrows as well as cause an internet storm. Welcome, Brother West. How are you doing?
Oh, my brother, happy holiday to you, man. And just salute the work you're doing, and just keep trying to be a force for good. All of us trying to do the best that we can, my brother.
Okay, well, listen, Dr. West, we're going to get straight to your article. Now, for quite some time, you have raised criticism of Coates. Before we get to the article, I just want to ask you, in fact, no, we're going to get straight to it, pardon me, because you raised some concerns. I'm going to read for our listeners part of what you said. You said, in short, Coates fetishizes white supremacy. He makes it almighty, magical, and unremovable. What concerns me is his narrative of defiance. For Coates, defiance is narrowly aesthetic, a personal commitment to writing with no connection to collective action. It generates crocodile tears of neoliberals who have no intention of sharing power or giving up privilege. End quote. Now, Dr. West, you've been very critical of neoliberalism for quite some time. How does that apply to Brother Coates, as progressives, as many people within the revolutionary circle see him as? Defend what you just said in that, fetishizing white supremacy as well.
Yeah, I think what I had in mind, though, brother, is that anytime you talk about white supremacy, you have to talk about resistance to white supremacy. There's no such thing as white supremacy without black fight back. And so if you talk about white supremacy in such a way that it's almighty or that it's unremovable or that somehow it's outside of the historical process, then that generates a fatalism or a certain kind of pessimism about the ability of overcoming white supremacy. We know white supremacy cuts deep. We know it's shot through every institution in American society, and in fact, a number of institutions outside of the U.S. empire. But if you fetishize white supremacy, you make it as if the battle is unwinnable. And so you end up with a fatalism and a pessimism. And analytically, you have to always situate white supremacy within empire. In America, it relates to the stealing of land of indigenous peoples. It relates to enslavement of Africans. So that it has to be understood in relation to predatory capitalism. It has to be understood in terms of U.S. imperial crimes committed against peoples in Africa and Asia and Latin America. And so if you look at white supremacy independent of capitalism, independent of imperialism, patriarchy, homophobia, transphobia, you end up with a certain conception of white supremacy that's not deeply rooted in these structures of domination. Now, my dear brother Coates, and I give him a lot of credit, he came back and said, well, no, I've actually written some things on my blog. But see, I don't read my dear brother's blogs. I only read his books.
Understood.
And in his books, I don't see that kind of emphasis. Now, if I had read every blog he'd done, when I'm critical of drone strikes of Obama, for example, but those are war crimes, and he comes back and says, well, I did make reference to drones, and I did have some criticism of drones, but I didn't necessarily make the inference that they're war crimes and therefore Obama got to take responsibility. He doesn't go that far. So that I was glad that he acknowledged that. That's part of what a dialogue is all about, it seems to me. And I do want to say this, though, brother, because you know how dumbed down the dialogue has been, and everybody thinks it's vicious, takedown, and personal and petty and so forth. And this is really a debate about vision for freedom and analysis of power, and analysis of capitalism, analysis of white supremacy, analysis of male supremacy, analysis of homophobia. You can't do it in a journalistic piece. You know, and you know and I know it takes books to do this.
Yes.
He's written 3 books, I've written whatever, 20 or whatever it is. It takes a long time to spill this, to acknowledging that this is a struggle not between two brothers, but between two ways of looking at the world. We have a lot of overlap. We both support reparations. I've been working on reparations for decades.
Yes.
Charles Ogletree, the great Charles Ogletree, Randall Robinson, in his book, The Debt, we met at Trans-Africa every other month. Reparations is very important. Brother Coates has written beautifully on reparations. The question is you got to fight for it. Can't just write about it, though. You got to fight for it. You got a black president, you got to make a demand.
Now,
you got a white president, you got to make a demand. You can't just write about it, you see. And so in that sense, this is not just a debate, this is a struggle of how we come up with ways of understanding our situation and changing our situation. And for so many folk on the internet, and I don't read too many Twitters because it's just so depressing, that it's all personal. It's just a beef. It's two brothers knocking each other out. No, that's not what it is at all. And we will come to a situation in which we get a chance to sit down and talk. We can do it privately. We can do it publicly. I've always been for that. Ain't no doubt about that. But I'm sorry to go on, but I just want to make that clear on your show because there's too much suffering out here for folk to be personalizing this thing and making it just a matter of two folk knocking each other out. No, that's not. That's exactly what a neoliberal view is. A neoliberal view says every moment is a moment of competition. Every thought is a thought of success. Every aim is an aim at putting somebody down. Well, you see, some of us don't believe that every conversation is a competition.
Yeah,
no, I got something to learn from him. He got something to learn from me. That's what it's about.
Well, Dr. West, you mentioned, of course, in your article. Well, actually, I'm going to mention what I was going to say now after what I'm going to say now. I remember when you were, not to rehash anything, but I remember when you criticized Dr. Michael Everett Dyson for comparing Brother TaNehisi to James Baldwin. Now, what exactly was your issue with that? Why wouldn't he be, I believe Dr. Dyson, and I'm paraphrasing, he said that he was our generation's James Baldwin. I'm paraphrasing. Why did you take issue with that?
Well, one was you always had black fight back at the center of Baldwin's writings. When Baldwin went to the South in 1957, he was writing right alongside those who were risking death in a struggle against American apartheid in the South. In his writings, he always put at the center black fight back. Where I see my dear brother Coates, he puts at the center white supremacy, but he has such a deep pessimism that he doesn't highlight the fight back or the fight back having any major effect.
And I would
so it undercuts any kind of possibility of people really wanting to sustain a long-term struggle. That's one thing. The second thing is that James Baldwin began at the calling of the liberal establishment, but he rejected them. He went with Angela Davis. He went with the Black Panther Party. Even when Elvis Cleveland was trashing him, he went with those who were critical of a mainstream.
So you're saying that? So you're saying, Dr. West? Are you? I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just asking to clarify. Are you saying that Brother Coates is not going against the mainstream?
Well, I'm saying that he's saying some very important things about white supremacy. But right now, he still is the darling of the neoliberal mainstream. There's no doubt about that. The New Yorker magazine, MSNBC, all of these are bastions of neoliberalism. And then so you raise the question. He raised the question himself. Why these people are supporting me so when I'm trying to be critical? And what do I say in the piece? I say it's because you don't threaten their order. It's because you're not saying things that get beyond the crocodile tears, you see. And when you say something that threatens their order, they're not going to be patting you on the back. And that's what Baldwin understood. Same thing happened to Baraka. Same thing happened to Gwendolyn Brooks. They began as the darlings of the establishment, then they got pushed back. Now he's a young brother. I'm just telling him this as an older brother. That's all.
Now, speaking of that too, Dr. West, one of the criticisms that were raised by a well-known activist, who I'm not going to mention at this time because I don't want to encourage any type of schism between black public figures, but that's one of the things this particular brother said. He asked me, why is Dr. West hating on a younger brother rather than mentoring him? So that perception is out there.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that brother raising the question, but I don't believe I'm hating. You see, when you criticize somebody, that's not a form of hate. When you criticize somebody, you're trying to get them to see a perspective that can make them stronger. You see, and this is true for anybody who comes out. I mean, can you imagine when Clifford Brown came out and Miles Davis sitting there, and he listened to it and said, "Good God, this is a talented cat," but he got to check out Clark Terry. He got to check out this section of Louis Armstrong. He's part of a tradition. It's not about individuals. It's about the tradition, you see. And when I say not enough talk about fight back, not enough talk about capitalism, not enough talk about imperialism, is that hating on the brother? No. I'm saying these tools are necessary to make the black freedom movement stronger. The movement is bigger than me, it's bigger than Coach, it's bigger than any individual, it's bigger than Brother Richard. It's bigger than our dear brother Shabazz. It's bigger than any individual. You see, it's bigger than Minister Louis Farrakhan. You know, it's across the board.
Now I see, Dr. West, you took serious issue with him comparing President Obama to Brother Malcolm X, and
that really upset me, brother. You can't rebrand Malcolm into no Obama, man. And that's why I said it's impoverished understanding of black history. Now, again, you know, I got to sit down and have a dialogue with the brother. Say, what did you have in mind, man? Because Malcolm was the major, magnificent, loving, black-loving critic of a vicious U.S. empire.
I'm going to be honest with you, Dr. West, if I may interject. When you referred to Brother Malcolm as the, quote, the greatest prophetic voice against the American empire, I was very surprised. Not because I thought that you disliked Malcolm, but if anything, I would think that you being a disciple of Dr. King would actually give him that label. You understand where I'm coming from? I was very
Yeah, no, I do. Well, you know, I come out of Martin Luther King Jr. school, but I believe in telling the truth.
Yes, sir.
And there's no doubt. I mean, I've said in Black Prophetic Fire that Malcolm X provides an analysis of the suffering and resistance of black people under white supremacy more than anybody. That includes Martin, that includes Ella Baker, that includes Fannie Lou Hamer. Doesn't mean I don't love them. I'm just telling the truth. So you're absolutely right. I come out of the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. as a Christian and so forth. But when it comes to telling the truth about white supremacy in U.S. empire, there's nobody like Malcolm X. Now then, when Brother Yolani Cobb comes back and says, "Oh, West can't mention Malcolm because he hangs around the dudes that killed him." You see?
Yes, I was going to bring Dr. West. That's the gutter,
man. That's the gutter. Jelani, get out of the gutter, man. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's so beneath dignity, it's hard to even respond. You know what I mean?
Yes, understood. So, Dr. West, this is what we want to know. Now, when you say, okay, back to Obama, back to his comparison of Obama and Malcolm, you had said this gross misunderstanding of who Malcolm X was, the greatest prophetic voice against the American empire, and who Barack Obama is, the first black head of the American empire, speaks volumes about Coates' neoliberal view of the world. Now him saying that, him making the comparison between Malcolm and Obama, how was that an example of neoliberalism? Pardon me if I seem redundant or if you may have already said that earlier, but if you would, just go into that a little briefly.
Because Brother Barack Obama is the grandest example of a neoliberal president alongside Clinton. And what does a neoliberal president do? They on friendly terms with Wall Street rather than Main Street. What else do? They have imperial policies that result in imperial crimes of dropping drones on innocent people, or interventions in Libya. We can go on in Honduras, so forth and so on. So that's what it is to be neoliberal, to be tied to Wall Street greed, to be tied to the military-industrial complex, but then have very liberal policies at home that don't want to call for fundamental transformation. And so for Brother Coates to have this kind of allegiance, when he said Obama was the greatest of American presidents among a few. He was a deeply moral human being. All that's from his text. Then I say, well, wait a minute. You just talked about, in the blog, you said he talked about drones. Well, how can he be a deeply moral human being if these drones killing innocent people? The people in Yemen and Pakistan and Afghanistan don't have the same status as people in America. Of course, they do.
And
so all I'm saying is this is a contradiction. He can come back to me. We can have an argument and conversation about this, but I need to understand what he means by these things. Because somebody in my position who knows that people have a killer list every Tuesday and they end up assassinating U.S. citizens with no trial, they're not moral people.
And as
they're not deeply moral people for me. That's immoral.
And as a side note, I must say, Dr. West, that those African Americans who still give unconditional support to our former president are silent when you bring up the crisis in Libya. I've noticed that.
Exactly.
And I've often asked the question, literally since when Obama was in office and that happened, I asked, and I had wrote about this, and I posted on Facebook. I said, African American supporters of President Obama who give unconditional support to President Obama, how do you explain or justify him overthrowing Muammar Gaddafi, a man who considered himself a friend and was considered a friend to the African American community? And it seems like it's like I get a blank look.
No, that's exactly right. And I would say the same thing about the 550 Palestinian babies who were killed by U.S. supported planes in 51 days. And what was the response of the president? More money for the Israeli forces. More money for the Israeli forces. Well, you see, black people, we have got to be morally consistent. You see, we can't say that we're concerned about precious babies, black babies, and our babies are precious, and not also be concerned about Palestinian babies.
Understood. Now, Dr. West, why do you describe Brother TaNehisi as having, quote, narrow racial tribalism and myopic political, well, actually, you already went over the neoliberalism part, but what does it mean when you say racial tribalism?
Racial tribalism means that if a white president engages in drone strikes that kills innocent people, you call him a war criminal. If the black president does exactly the same thing, you're silent, and you provide a protective arm around him. So racial tribalism means you look away from those things that you're critical of somebody else is doing it.
Understood. So then, now you mentioned also in that same paragraph, you speak about the black elite. You speak about U.S. imperial crimes or black elite indifference to poverty. Do you feel that Brother Coates is actually of that black elite who are indifferent to black poverty, the black bourgeoisie, if you would?
Well, no, not really. I think that he doesn't highlight the ways in which the black elite has been too indifferent to poverty. I think he himself is concerned about black poor people. I just don't see it highlighted as much as it ought to be in his text. I don't think that he represents the black elite who are indifferent to poverty. I don't think he talks about it enough in his text. And that's a separate thing. You see, one is an individual thing. I think as an individual, as a person, as a brother, he does have a certain concern. He doesn't talk about it in his text enough. And that's one reason why, again, he can talk about how great Barack Obama is, but child poverty in the black community, poverty in general, was not a priority of that president. Look at William Barber and what William Barber is doing with the Poor People's Campaign now, building on the later Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes, I covered that a few weeks ago, yes.
This is one of the most important things going on right now, but we needed that under Obama. And of course, Brother Tavis and I tried to do something like that. We got trashed, demonized, and everything else because it was completely misunderstood. But we needed that under Obama because the poverty rates went up under Obama. See?
So currently, okay, Dr. West, I wanted you mentioned, of course, at the end of the article, you mentioned those who you referred to as who represent, as you say, quote, represent the radical wing of the black freedom struggle. You mentioned Robin D.G. Kelly, Gerald Horne, Imani Perry, and Barbara Ransby. This question might be considered rhetorical, but do you think that the individuals who you mentioned are intentionally obscured not just necessarily by white liberal media outlets, but by bourgeois black media outlets?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I think Michelle Alexander ought to be center stage in any serious talk about what it means to be a public intellectual in America. I think Sarah Griffin should. I think Barbara Ransby should. I think Robin Kelly should. I think Gerald Horn should. Adolph Reed should. I can go on and on. These are powerful, magnificent thinkers and intellectuals, and I think they deserve more attention than Coates, because they're more sophisticated in their thinking than Coates. That's not to say Coates doesn't have an important voice. I think he does. But Robin Kelly, oh Lord, there's no comparison. They need to be center stage.
Well, Dr. West, I must say that I'm not at all trying to lay a guilt trip on you, but Coates appeared to be so, I hate to say this, hurt by your criticism of him. You know, he deleted his Twitter account maybe the day or two after your article. You know, what are your thoughts on that? If he's listening to this broadcast, what would you have to say to him other than the things you've already been saying? But I should say directly to him. What would you say?
I would say that I know that Brother Coates is a strong brother, and I think he probably just reached a point once the neo-Nazi jumped in on this. He reached the point I got to pull back. What I think his quote was, the feminists and the leftists and the white supremacists come at me, this is too much. But he's strong, brother. I know he's got something to say, and will continue to have something to say, and I think his voice is a voice that ought to be heard alongside a whole host of other voices. And as I'm telling you, that there will come a time very soon when we'll get a chance to sit down and talk privately and publicly to see where we agree, to see where we disagree, and so we can get beyond a lot of that you get onto Twitter, because the struggle for freedom is too crucial. And it's sad that the things get dumbed down so quickly, given that we're up against the neo-fascism of Trump and company.
So, and Dr. West, as we get ready to conclude this broadcast, how would you respond to those who say that your criticism of Coates is an example of is another example of yet again black folk not being able to get along? Like, because actually, let me just finish. I'm sorry, Doc. I had to add to that. I'm sorry, because what people were saying to me, as I told them, I was so excited. I'm getting ready to interview Brother West again, as I've had the privilege of interviewing you before. People were asking me. I should say 3 people in person, but several people on the internet, on Facebook, were saying, well, why can't Dr. West? Why couldn't he have addressed this in private with him? Why go to the public first?
Well, one is that you and I know that there's a role for the private, there's a role for the public. And I give a good example to a brother you and I love, Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz.
Yes, sir.
That he and I, in private and in public, have had a host of different dialogues, a host of different disagreements, a host of different struggles together, in the street, in the National Press Club. You know the story.
Yes, sir.
And we know that there's a role for public conversation, public disagreement, and public engagement. There's a role for private. And I think just as mature persons, there's a role for any of us, not just yourself, myself, Brother Malik, or Sister Michelle Alexander, or anybody else. And so I don't subscribe to this notion that we cannot disagree in public. The problem is that disagreement must not be viewed as some kind of trashing or some kind of vicious takedown. That's why I said in my piece, I said this is not an act of hatred. This is not a vicious takedown. This is a disagreement between 2 grown persons trying to come to terms with the same tradition. As you know from the very beginning of the text, I say he comes from one wing of the movement, I come from another. That doesn't mean we have full disagreement. We have a lot of things. We hate white supremacy, but we also have disagreements. We got to learn how to disagree, because that's what it is to be human. In families, in churches, mosques, synagogues, movements, there has to be ways in which we disagree. But when it's cast as a way of trying to crush, I would never want to crush the brother. I would never want to shut him out. I would never want to dishonor him. He's a grown man. He has his views. I'm a grown man. I got my views. Let's have a very intense discussion. And it's going to be passionate. You know why it's going to be passionate? Because he hates white supremacy. I hate white supremacy. He has his hatred of injustice. I have my hatred. That makes it passionate. It ought to be passionate. Too many people suffering, brother.
Well, we'd like to thank you, Dr. West, for joining us once again. I'm Dashan Farad. You've been listening to Right and Exact. Please join us again very soon.